Hi, I'm Frank from tiros-games, and in this video I explain the rules of space missions. As the head of a space agency, you experience the time before the first lunar landing. You will train astronauts, make technologies more reliable, assemble rockets and launch missions into space. The player with the most successful space program wins the game. Using a new deck sizing mechanism, you optimize several decks at once, which will determine the success of your missions. Space Missions is a board game for 1 to 4 experienced players, aged 14 and up. Playtime is approximately 60 to 90 minutes. The game rules are available in German and English. The game material is language independent. In the game of Space Missions, you only get victory points by launching missions. With the help of 6 specialist cards, you prepare one mission each round. Then, in play order, you announce which mission you want to perform. After you have completed the mission, you will receive victory points and other rewards, depending on your success. The game ends after the round in which mission number 8, Moon Landing, was successfully completed. It also ends after 8 rounds at the latest. Whoever has the most victory points at the end of the game is the winner. There are 8 missions in total. Mission number 1, Advance into Space, is the simplest mission and rewards only few victory points. Mission number 8, Moon Landing, is the most complex mission and accordingly rewards the most victory points. The number of victory points you get for a successfully completed mission is shown at the bottom right on the card. When a mission has been successfully completed, the corresponding mission card is flipped to the backside. All players who thereafter successfully complete the mission receive less victory points. Each mission is connected to at least one category. This information is shown at the bottom left of the card. There are unmanned missions, manned missions, moon missions, and media missions. Media missions are special, that's why they are marked with a blue background and have a TV icon in the upper right corner. Because the media interest declines very quickly, only the first player can score the mission in the media category. Therefore, the media icon is omitted on the back of the card. Whoever successfully completes a mission moves his success marker forward by 1 space in the corresponding category. At the end of the game, the most successful player in a category gets 5 extra victory points. The second most successful player gets only 2 victory points. There is no predetermined order in which you must perform the missions. If it makes sense to you, you can try a mission more than once. However, each mission has certain requirements that must be met. You can find them at the top of the card. In the upper left corner of the mission card, you can see what type of spacecraft and corresponding development level you need. For mission number 8, you will need a level 3 rocket, a level 2 capsule and a lunar module. Missions number 6, 7 and 8 can only be attempted after you have successfully completed other missions. The final mission number 8, Moon Landing, can only be tried after you have successfully completed a manned mission and a moon mission. At the beginning of the game, you already own all spacecraft in the first development level. With them, you can carry out the missions number 1 to number 3. Except for the lunar module, all spacecraft have 2 further development levels. With each development level, the spacecraft becomes more powerful and heavy. Development level 3 is located on the backside of the development level 2 spacecraft tile. Mission number 2 is a manned mission in which the astronauts complete a suborbital flight, that is, a ballistic flight into space without orbiting the Earth. A level 1 rocket can carry 3 tons into suborbit. A level 1 capsule weighs 3 tons, which means that this is a legal combination without any problems, as indicated on the card above left corner. However, if you want to perform the mission with a level 2 capsule, the rocket is not powerful enough because the capsule weighs 4 tons. To be able to perform this mission with a level 2 capsule, there are 2 options. Either you equip the level 1 rocket with a payload enhancement that increases the possible payload of the rocket by 1 ton, or you need a level 2 rocket that can carry even 5 tons into suborbit. Each mission requires not only spacecraft with a certain level of development, but also certain technologies. These are shown in the process table in the middle of the mission card. For example, mission number 2 uses the technologies thrust and life support. There are 6 different technologies, all shown on the mission control tableau, where each has its own technology card deck. All of the technologies are initially very unreliable at the beginning of the game. 4 of the 6 technologies contain 1 major problem, 2 minor problems, and 2 no problem cards. The other 2 technologies contain 1 major problem, 3 minor problems, and only 1 no problem card. At the beginning of the game, it's unknown which 2 technologies contain only 1 card, no problem. How is a mission performed? Each row of the process table corresponds to a step of the mission schedule. You work through the table row by row from top to bottom and from left to right. For each card symbol, draw 1 card from the corresponding technology deck. For example, let's carry out mission number 2. You draw a card from the technology deck thrust. It is a major problem. The mission will be immediately over. In an unmanned mission, this is annoying but not tragic. In a manned mission, this is different because all astronauts on board will die. Whenever you lose an astronaut, you will immediately lose 2 victory points. If the rocket is equipped with a thrust backup, you can spend it to turn the major problem into a minor problem. If a backup system is used, it must be installed on the spacecraft that is active in the current step. In this case, the rocket. If the thrust technology has a minor problem, you do not lose any astronauts, but the mission must be aborted. If the rocket has another thrust backup, it can be spent to solve the minor problem. In this case, the mission continues and the next technology card is drawn. It is a minor problem. You need another thrust backup to solve this problem. Unfortunately, your rocket has no further thrust backup. You therefore have to abort the mission. Failing also has advantages because you will learn from setbacks. You can permanently remove 1 of the problem cards you uncovered during the mission. In addition, you still get victory points corresponding to the step in which you failed. In our example, you failed in the first step, so you get 1 victory point. For the astronaut returned to Earth in good health, you get another victory point. Regardless of the mission success, everyone who tried a mission gets a mission bonus. For every year, you can choose between 2 bonuses. In the year 1963, you can take 2 fuel tokens, or alternatively permanently remove 1 from the revealed problem cards from the game. The distinction between end mission immediately and abort mission is only important for manned missions. If a manned mission is aborted, the mission has failed, but you still try to bring the astronauts back to Earth healthy, which means that the step for re-entry into the Earth atmosphere is still carried out. Although mission number 2 is a manned mission, there is no difference here either, because re-entry into the Earth's atmosphere does not yet play any role. Let's go back to our example mission number 2. We assume that you have successfully survived the first step and are now performing the second step. You draw a card of the technology life support. It is a minor problem. You now have several options and decide to spend a training token. Of course, this only works for manned missions. Also, there must be at least 1 healthy astronaut on board. You draw the second card of the technology life support. This is a major problem. Fortunately, you just used the training token and not the backup life support, so now you can spend it to turn the major problem into a minor one. To solve the minor problem, you would need another backup life support or a second training. You don't have either of those. Therefore, the astronaut is turned to the injured side. If an already injured astronaut is injured again, you lose him in this case. You also lose 2 victory points. Congratulations! The mission is successful, so you get 3 victory points. You don't get a victory point for the injured astronaut. Also, you can move your player marker by 1 space in the manned mission category. The mission card is flipped over to the backside. Now let's take a detailed look at the sequence of a round. Each round begins with the action phase. In player order, you may play 1 of your 6 action cards or you pass. The player order is shown on the game board and is randomly determined at the beginning of the game. You can actively change the player order. The first player to pass is a new starting player in the next phase, and will therefore perform his mission first. If you only have one card left in your hand, you must pass. This means you can only play up to 5 of the 6 cards per round. Each player stacks the card they played face up in front of them, so that only their last played card is visible to the other players. Each action card has several action blocks. When you play an action card, you must choose an action block. If there are multiple actions listed in an action block, you must perform all of these actions. With the help of a mechanic, you can take any 2 enhancement tokens from the general supply. All hexagonal green markers are enhancements, the 4 different backup systems and the payload enhancement. Or you can take 2 fuel tokens. You will need fuel for each mission. The Astronaut gives you 2 training tokens or 1 training token and any enhancement. With the help of an engineer, you can perform a small test. Draw 2 cards from a technology. If you draw minor problems, you may remove them all from the game. You may not remove a big problem. Return any remaining cards drawn to any position in the same deck from which you drew the cards. With the help of a tester, you can perform a big test. Draw up to 3 cards from a technology. If you draw problems, major or minor, you may remove one of these problems from the game. Return any remaining drawn cards to any position in the deck from which you drew the cards. Alternatively, you can take 1 inspection token and then pass. The inspection token may protect you from the event at mission start. More about this later. The pass action works as if you had passed instead of playing a card, which means you move your turn order marker to the first available position. With the help of a scientist, develop any spacecraft. If you develop level 2 of a spacecraft, take the level 2 spacecraft tile from the general supply. If you have developed level 3, simply turn the spacecraft tile to the side marked level 3. You can develop level 3 of a spacecraft only after you have developed level 2. You can still use all lower levels of the spacecraft. When you develop the rocket, you must take 1 mission control card from your personal supply and shuffle it into the thrust deck. The new card is always a minor problem. When you develop the capsule, you must take 1 mission control card from your personal supply pile and shuffle it into the life support deck. The spy allows you to use a card played by another player as if you had just played it yourself. You may only choose from the visible cards. Only the last card played by each player is visible. After that, you must pass. Alternatively, take 1 of your already played specialists back to your hand. You can play the card you just took back in one of your next turns. However, this may mean that you make 1 more move than the other players, and this may set you back in player order. In phase 2, you determine the new player order that resulted from the action phase. In phase 3, you place your player marker on the mission you want to perform in this round, one after the other, according to the new player order. If you don't want to, you don't have to perform a mission. Place the required fuel tokens on your rocket. If you have an inspection token, you must also place it on the rocket. Place the payload on the rocket as well as any tokens you want to use for the mission. You will automatically get the astronauts for a manned mission from the general supply. In phase 4, you shuffle all the technology decks that will be used in your mission. For mission number 2, you would need to shuffle the thrust deck and the life support deck. In phase 5, an event card is revealed. It applies to everyone who has announced a mission. The event occurs while the rocket is on the launch pad and the countdown is running. 6 of the 9 events mostly have a negative impact. An astronaut can get injured, a backup system can fail, or a minor problem can occur. You can protect yourself from the minor problems and half of the backup failures by having done an inspection in the action phase. You can still decide to abort the mission now. In this case, you may keep all the enhancements, training tokens and fuel tokens. You only have to discard the inspection token if you have one. You will not receive any victory points or bonuses in this round, but you will start the next round with a lot of resources and may even be able to perform a higher value mission. In Phase 6, the announced missions are performed. If you know the game well, players can play this phase simultaneously. This way, the playing time will be shorter. On the other hand, you will lose the excitement of following the other players doing their missions. In Phase 7, you evaluate your missions in player order. You take the victory points you are entitled to. If your mission was successful, move your markers forward on the success bars of the corresponding categories and flip the mission card to the back side if the front side is still visible. Everyone who completed a mission takes a mission bonus regardless of the success of the mission. Put all remaining drawn mission control cards back at any place in the corresponding decks. Then remove any tokens that may have remained on the rocket and its payload and return them to the general supply. In Phase 8, you finalize the current round. You may keep any remaining tokens in your personal supply for the next round. If you have more than 3 tokens of one type, you must discard these surplus tokens. Finally, advance the year marker by 1 year on the timeline and the next round can begin. Now you are well prepared to launch your own missions. Lift off and good luck!